how we get through. Before we start the budget conversation, we'll invite our interim CFO, Christina Williams, to kind of kick us off tonight about the budget, and Dr. Morgan Hannon will kind of come in as well and talk about enrollment and strategies. And this is, again, a great time to talk about questions and concerns, etc., while we're doing this. But this is very, very important. And this is to Trustee McCoy-Carpenter's question earlier about why we're here. I think everybody's been asking, and I certainly have as a leader of this organization, why are we here? Like, what happened? What is this? And so let me provide some important history and context. And I want you all to really commit this stuff to memory. Trustee Malero, it's good to see you. I'm sorry to see you come in. And so it's good to listen to kind of where we are, because it helps you to understand the steps we need to take as we correct the action. So I'll try to be really brief here. Past context, I want you to go back to as far as 2012 as our starting point. 2012, so about where you were then. 2012 was the peak of the enrollment for Prairie State College. Some 11,000 students were attending Prairie State College. It was after the Great Recession of 2008. When recessions happen, enrollments in colleges typically go up. That is the past trend over the decades. COVID kind of threw that into flux a little bit, but I think that'll probably return as we get more time, now that we're past that experience. But that's the high point, 2011, 2012, okay? From 2012 to 2020, that's an 8-year period of time. We lost 30% enrollment at Prairie State College. So again, take yourself back to where you were, what was going on at the college, 2012 to 2020. Just to be very clear, I began in 2019. Okay, so 2012 to 2020, we lost 30% enrollment. Okay, so for the math out there, that's 400 some odd students, right? During that time, there was no reduction in staffing that kept pace with that enrollment. In other words, you didn't see a 30% decline in staffing or operations. So when you have operations maintaining the level here and your revenue going down, you get an imbalance in your budget. Now, more things were happening. That's not the only thing that was happening. During that same period of time, the college continually gave raises to their employees. So not only did we have this constant kind of number of employees, but, and this isn't something I support, right? We kept getting raises, healthy raises, to our union organizations, which is, again, good on the whole. Faculty, staff, administrators, managers were all getting raises during that time, okay? Again, while a third of our enrollment, a third of our revenue source, which is enrollment, was going down by 30%. So every year, those labor costs were going up. They were not staying flat, they were going up, right? The cost of goods for colleges and individuals have been raised steadily since 2012. We all know that. Just regular old inflation. And again, a third of our revenue was going down. Okay? Increased student basic needs, unfunded state mandates, and increased fixed cost spending to support college education were all climbing during those years. 2012 to 2020. Revenues during that same time. So let's talk about the expenses side of the house. Look about revenues. 50% decline in enrollment. So between 2020 to 2022, so what you now consider the pandemic years, a lot more recent for us, right? So 2020 to 2022, we lost another 20% enrollment. Everyone did, right? So I want you to take the year 2012 to 2022. 50% of the students who were attending Prairie State College were no longer here. That's 11,000 students to about 5,500 students in the fall of 2021. Okay, that was the semester I became president. That had dropped off again. That's when you ask questions of, well, what caused it, how it happened. These were things going on. Can I point to a person or a thing? No. It's math, it's counting, right? We lost revenue, maintained and increased expenses. To further exacerbate the revenue picture, understand there was a 3-year period. You all remember this, in the 2010s, where there was no state funding. The great impasse in Illinois under Governor Rauner. So there were 3 years where the other third of our revenue comes from state funding. There was no state funding for 3 years. During that same time, that was still giving raises. We were not cutting staff, but yet we were getting a whole third of our revenue not being received. So the college was eating into revenue as reserves at that time, right? That's how we were passing balanced budgets. Again, this is before any of our times. This was 2015, 14, 15, 16, 17. There was at the same time, the little revenue that we were receiving from tuition and fees was frozen. So since 2018 to 2026, tuition and fees were frozen. So we were having half of the student population was lost, and those who were left were not paying any more tuition and fees. So that was frozen. That revenue source was frozen. There were reductions in ICCB funding year to year to year for the last 30 years. This is all across the country. So I'm saying these things because it's very, very important to understand that how we got here was not an accident or just an oversight. There was a lack of foresight perhaps to why we're here now. And there was no one thing that would be folly to say one person, one thing, one board, one president got us here. Because that's just not fair. But we're here. And now we have to think about how do we get out of it. And getting out of it after a decade plus of very, very disparate numbers in revenue and expenses takes a lot of work. I will remind the board and those in attendance that we became aware of the depth of this crisis 9 months ago. 14 years of decline, low revenue, enrollment loss, and 9 months of recovery. So yes, we have work to do, and we don't get out of that in 1 year. And we will set the stage for the things we're doing to get out of that. So that's the background, that's the backdrop of the college's finances. Again, predates many of us, but we are here to address the decline. A couple of pieces here that I want to make sure we point out. There were operational concerns as well. There was operational concerns about how the board was receiving their the monthly amounts and the monthly reports, what information you were receiving or were not receiving. Discipline or lack of discipline in spending, right? As a new vice president here, I tell this story often. I was told by the then finance chief, whatever you need, let me know. I said, no CFO talks like that, by the way. Christina, am I lying? Okay. No CFO talks like that. But I was told as the new vice president in 2019, just tell me what you want, we'll do it. No boundaries, no constraints. And then we moved, we started doing things. And now here we are. Cost control, spending discipline, these things are all things that Prairie State should have been doing better over the years. I'm happy to report since 2022, the spring, ever since that semester, enrollment has been going up, right? And that is not erase 10 years of enrollment declines. But it'll take time, but we are going in the right direction. And with the board's governance and the hard work of people in this room, I know we'll get there. And of course, there are opportunities that abound, which we'll talk about tonight. So, yes, I'm gonna have our CFO come up and talk a little bit about the guts of the budget and what's going on here, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony. You did an amazing job of introducing this particular topic. So thank you for setting the groundwork. It was really very helpful to do that. So, clicker, is this the clicker? It is. So we're going to just talk a little bit about some of the foundational
Can you hold the mic maybe? That'd be helpful. It's just the fans are blowing.
Yeah.
So I know.
And I move when I talk.
I know, me too. That's hard. Trust me. I get it. Trust me.
So we want to talk a little bit about the foundational aspects of our budget. So I'm going to go through a little bit of terminology. I respect your knowledge here, and I just want to give you a little bit of a grounding of how we look at our budgets and how we look at our different types of costs. And then we'll go in a little bit to how we're looking at our budget going forward.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a little bit of a review of the main overview. We're going to talk a little bit about the difference between our restricted and unrestricted funds and the makeup of our high-level budget requests. So you all know the mission, you all know the vision. We talked about providing access and affordability and high-quality education. And I think that that is the mission that we all can connect to and feel good about. And our vision, we want to be the catalyst for growth, to give students the opportunity. And I think that we do a tremendous job of doing that. So our budget planning. So the first thing that I kind of want to go through with you is our fund definition and accessibility. We have, as you've seen in our monthly reports, a ton of funds. The unfortunate part of that, we really have discretion with two of them. So we have a lot of funds, but most of those funds have significant restrictions that don't allow us to spend the way we would like to spend them. They are all restricted. So funds 1 and 2, which is the ones that we talk about most frequently in our monthly reports, that basically is for our educational and operational funds. And that basically is meant to, and is restricted to the expenditures of academics, instruction, student service programs, including salaries and classroom supplies. So that is funded in part through taxes and through tuition. And that's where we get the money to do that. And as you have heard earlier, that we have had a lot of tax increases over the years, and our tuition has remained relatively flat until this coming fall. So other things have gone up, but we have those funds that we really dedicate to making sure that our campus is able to facilitate through the facilities aspect of it, through faculty, through staff, to give the education that we need to and want to give. We have very many restricted funds. We have a restricted fund for operation and maintenance, and those are usually funded through some capital renewal grants, monies for building purposes for grants and levies. Bond and interest, very restricted. We have to pay our interest out of that. Auxiliary enterprises is self-supporting. So we have Illinois Action for Children that rents space here. We have the conference center. We anticipate that those particular functions are going to be self-supporting, and we are not going to add additional funding to that. And then we have a working cash fund, which you just heard about. And the idea of that, as it's established, is to have money on hand at times when we are short of funds. So, for example, in the summer, because we don't have a lot of tuition revenue coming in, our funds are rather short. So we could pull on that if we need it. Fund 11 is an audit fund. Again, very restricted. We have to fund and pay for the audit fees. Liability and protection is for tort liability, very restricted. Trust and agency is covering student fees for club events. We have another restricted fund for all our grants. So a lot of our faculty go for grants, and they're supported through Hondo 6. Again, very restricted. We have the assets, and then we have student clubs. So when it comes right down to it, we really have to make decisions on Fund 1 and 2. And when you think about that, that's not a lot. We don't have a lot of inflowing money to make those decisions. So we also are looking at revenue opportunities. So when we think about revenue opportunities, we're thinking about the idea of tuition and fees, of course. It's the main income line of what we bring in every year. We have enrollments, but enrollments must generate cash. So we've really done a tremendous job this year, and I have to thank Christina Lazard and her team to really being pushing through some different policies, some processes, some programs that will help students pay their bills, which is what we want to do, and we want to teach them in part about financial literacy. So we're doing a lot around that. Grants from federal and state sources, bundle 6, somewhat unpredictable, especially now. You know, we don't know how much money we're going to generate from our funds. We're trying to go through now and working with faculty and try to understand and different parts of the college. What are you kind of going to put in for funds this year? What do you think is realistic? Because we have a cost and a revenue side. If we don't get the revenue, we can't have the resources that it supports. So it's a big decision on those. Property taxes are spread out over the remaining funds. We, Fund 1 and Fund 2, get a good portion of those property taxes, but also audit gets a portion, liability gets a portion, and interest gets a portion. So we don't get to keep it all. We have to spread it out to pay other commitments. And finally, our miscellaneous revenue is small. We don't have a lot of miscellaneous revenue. I don't think that, that will be something that we will ever count on as being a significant part of our organization. We do have some rents that we get. We have a conference center. We have things like that. But, it's small in looking at everything else. So our fund breakdown. This is kind of like leading into the kind of revenue side of this and how our budgets are going to be established. So we just going to talk a little bit about enrollment.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Anthony always likes when I smile. Makes them laugh. So one of the first things that I want to say is when I first got to college last year, and I talked about, well, how do we like pursue, our enrollment goals and our enrollment targets and things like that. I learned from talking to the team, well, we don't really have enrollment goals, enrollment targets, things like that. And so that was one of the first things that I worked with and put some structure around to support intentionally growing our enrollment, or at least attempting to grow our enrollment. So one of the first things that I did was I wrote out a strategy, I guess, an enrollment management strategy that included establishing an enrollment forecast, some enrollment goals, and some targets to try to attain, and it also pulls together an enrollment team, which we call Momentum Mondays. And so every Monday, there is a team of leaders and people who come together to review where we are with enrollment and to, I call it conduct experiments. Like in a given week, if we meet on Monday, we might identify something we want to try that week to try to drive enrollment or try to push enrollment toward our goals. So every week, this group of people, we've met, we tried out different things, we've looked at our processes, we've explored a bunch of different activities, and some of them we'll talk about here. And a part of it also is having good data. And so I just put some of the data that our team worked on for us, right? One of the first questions was, well, what's our funnel? Like one of my questions was, like, how many students are applying and how are they getting through the funnel? You're a marketing person, right? Like, so you understand the funnel concept, right? Like trying to move students from, you can see here, this is as of today, we have 1,234 applicants for fall, but only 8% of those who applied have enrolled for fall. So when we meet and we talk on a weekly basis, we're talking about how do we move these students further along, or move these individuals further along in the funnel. And so we have a lot of students who are placed but not enrolled, and we have a whole bunch of students who have not placed and not enrolled, or potential students. So a part of our work has been a lot of concerted effort around how we move students along toward not just enrolling, but hopefully, being successful at college. So we also are focusing on strengthening our high school partnerships. We have a dean of, she's not here a dean of, well now she's admissions and early college initiatives, who is working with the high schools to try to optimize our relationships with them through either dual credit or early college initiative, which basically the early college initiative Institute, the Early College Institute is a program where the high school students come here to campus to take classes. And dual credit courses are courses that are offered at the high schools. So we're really working on strengthening our partnerships with the high schools to, transition students into taking college classes before they graduate from high school. I think it was last month, I think it was May, where we brought the re-up agreement, which re-up is a revenue sharing relationship that we'll have with a company that will go out and engage our adult stock-out students. And so the contract and the relationship has kicked off, and we've been meeting with them over the past couple of weeks so they can get kick-started and hopefully bring back some of our students who have stopped out of attending the college. So that's one big thing. Somebody asked about wait lists, and I think Derek talked a little bit about that we're piloting wait listing this summer. So the students who are, dropped for whatever reason, students can be in line to fill those seats. So we're doing that, but with that, I think we're dropping for non-payment. Students who are not paying. During the pandemic, a lot of schools stopped dropping students for non-payment. And Prairie State was one of those, institutions. And so that resulted in a lot of students who maybe didn't necessarily understand their financial responsibilities. And so we've been putting a lot of work through finance and Christina Lazard's leadership and our CFO's leadership to try to get students to understand that they are financially responsible for their education. And so part of that is dropping students when they haven't made arrangements to pay for their courses. So we started it back in the spring term, and we have been more intentionally doing it this summer and this fall. Doing that frees up spots for students who are on the wait list to take the spots in the different courses. And then also doing that helps our academic team know whether or not to add more sections of courses, right? If we have students sitting in these courses that haven't made arrangements to pay, and then we're opening up more and more and more sections of courses and hiring faculty for students who may not necessarily have any intention of coming to the college or paying for their education, then it just helps us have better intelligence as it relates to the courses and faculty that we need. We have also learned about schools that do mandatory payment plans, so that's something that we're exploring what that can look like for us as a college. It would mean that we have to set up some things differently with the way students currently enroll in payment plans, but that's something that we're exploring the possibility of as well, just to kind of help students really be mindful of their financial responsibility to pay for their education. And then that's blocked out at the bottom, I apologize for that. But admitted student days, so like I talked about earlier, we want to help students or help our applicants to move along the funnel. So at least once a month, we're having these admitted student days where students who have applied, they've gotten a decision letter from us, but haven't taken the next step. They can come in on one evening and take care of everything and get registered in their courses. So we're trying to do those once a month. So like I said, we're experimenting, we're trying different things. We're trying to see what's going to move students, potential students along our funnel. And one of the things that I didn't put on here that we're doing, we're going to develop a concerted effort around also is recruiting maybe our first year students who haven't signed up. I learned today that there is a huge list of students who were here last year who haven't enrolled again for classes for this year. So doing some more like first year to second year recruitment to try to keep students engaged and moving along in their education. So those are some of the things that we're doing that are in what I call our from today to 72K. 72,000 is our stretch target goal for our enrollment credit hours. At the end of this year, we want to have students enrolled in $72,000 credit hours. That's our stretch goal. That's not the goal that the budget is built upon. It's a much more conservative target, but there are a host of strategies. I'm not sharing all of them, but just know that there's a lot of intentionality being built around how we help students not only apply, but hopefully move along and get their education and attain their goals. So,
Question, are we holding questions until the end for
No,
each section?
ask away.
Okay, so, this is spectacular, hearing more details of the strategies and the tactics that you guys are taking on a daily, weekly basis. Out of curiosity, and there might be restrictions due to districting, I've become aware of students outside the district that are specifically targeting a program that is, highly, excellent, the dental hygienist program. Yeah, so is there a way where once we've already exhausted the student or the residents that are on the wait list and they haven't signed up, can we pursue students that are outside the district who have expressed interest to be enrolled in one of our specialty programs? Is that possible?
if they're applied to us, like, and we can consider them, but we're not supposed to like advertise
Pursue
if they're in South Suburban, or if South Suburban doesn't have a program, obviously, if they don't have,
They want to come to ours though. Look.
South Suburban, do they have one? Okay.
Okay.
So they want to come to our program, they can most likely
Okay.
apply.
Because I
to
think
our
the
program.
student case that I'm thinking of, she was based in Kennedy King District.
Oh,
Yeah. So
So,
just thinking of an additional strategy or a different group of students to target if it's even ethical.
so this is where relationships with our colleagues matter so much. We each have connections to our counterparts at different schools. If we have somebody who wants to come here and they are out of district, there's some flexibility with what we can do, but it has to be in cooperation with other school. But we violate certain rules within the state if we are actively recruiting and coaching students, but I really hate that mentality, but I understand it. And I want to reciprocate it for us as well. So if there's a student in Kankakee who, or a student here who wants to take dental hygiene, but they happen to just want to go to Kankakee, they're gonna have to pay the out of district rate at Kankakee. They can do it, but they have to pay the out of district rate.
Yeah.
And we're trying not to incentivize them, just try to, we don't want them incentivized to pull them away from us, just like we don't want to do this to other schools. Yeah. But we also refer. So when students are in Kankakee and they're full, then they can talk to Prairie State and say, I have space. So that's why those relationships really matter. And it works well. To work well.
And I just know, just based off history, when I needed a criminal justice class when I was a student here, I was able to go to South Suburban to take that class. This is one class for the graduates.
So we can't integrate them into the strategy, the recruitment strategy. Not really. Yeah.
Not overtly. Very politically well done.
Exactly.
But we can encourage people to come here all the time. I do it all the time.
All the time.
I would just say that in dental hygiene in particular, we've expanded the capacity of our program, so that's another part of our enrollment strategy. Though, as the CFO will note, the interim CFO, some of these are costly programs, so it's always a balance of what programs we're delivering and enrollment versus the cost of the program and how much that actually helps us. So just it's a complicated formula.
I do know that our CTE students, they are counted in that number for enrollment. Okay. Cool.
Career technical?
Yes. All right. And did you have a decline because of the funding, or is this still the same?
Which funding?
Just overall funding. That will be some grants that they can take.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to fix that.
I think that's a good question to ask. It is difficult with declining funding. We were just having a conversation today about the impact on nursing, tutoring, and retention, and things like that.
Yeah.
So it does impact everybody across the state when they take away the PATH grant in particular. We have to be creative. We're switching to group models of tutoring and things like that. So that's a great question.
What about the we or wheel? Do we still have those?
We do. The WE grant renewed at $832,000. Actually, I think it was a little bit higher than it was last year. And that's for many of the workforce training programs, absolutely. That's been one of our best grants,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
And that's been driving enrollment, because I know a lot of students ask, like, I want to be truck driver,
That's
nurse,
right.
and,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and now we have, Dean Giles, she's over at Mission, but she's also over doing Prairie State.
I can't hear you well, without
Oh, the favorite?
Yeah, fans are.
You know, you in a special chair.
I know, you want the fan though, but yeah.
I feel like that's loud, but is it better?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I have a low voice anyway too. So I just think we have, with under Dean Giles, who's, like I said, she's previously been overgrowing our dual credit and our early college institute and initiatives. Now we also have her over a couple other areas that I think will allow us to intentionally take programs like the students that are part of the Workforce Empowerment Initiative and create a pathway into the college once they're finished with their short-term credential program that they're in. So we're just building a lot more intentionality around our initiatives and other.
How are we doing with even, maybe marketing, across the line, right in the end?
Unfortunately, our budget was cut for advertising, but prior to that, we had outreach. We had a lot of success from our outdoor advertising in Northwest Indiana. We had billboards that were, I can't remember the streets, but we had one that was on the Calumet, from 8094 coming into Illinois. We had another one that was on another street. I can't remember, and we did see that we got a lot of attention and exposure for our brand because they probably didn't even realize that they could come here and attend for an in-district rate. So I'd have to check with Anita about how many students we have who actually are signed up from Indiana, but we know that it was successful.
And I'm asking that because I'm going to be at an event next month, and I wanted to have some Prairie State stuff there. It's right off of Indianapolis Boulevard, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, we can do that. That's in our district. They're covered, so we can talk about getting some information there.
And from a process perspective, if the board ever needs anything, there's a go-to person. I don't know if everybody look to your right. Her name is Andy. And Andy's looking down, but yeah, that's the one. If you ever need material, just shoot Andy a note. Shoot me a note. We'll get it to you. Yeah, we'll get it to you with instructions and boot. I love that thought, right? Because y'all are all over the place. So
We're expecting 200 kids, and some of them are middle school to high school.
Yeah.
That's perfect, and
That's
we'll be talking to
perfect.
the parents, so.
yeah, so great.
Your request will be delivered in 4 to 6 weeks.
That's right. In 4 to 6 business weeks.
Oh,
That's right. I'm just kidding.
So that was all I wanted to interject in terms of like realizing the role that tuition and enrollment plays in the health of our organization. So I wanted to speak to the different things that we're doing to strengthen enrollment.
I have one question about the funds. I didn't hear about the, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, my mind is going away. The money that we get from donations or charitable contributions. Where is that? I mean, is that, I know some of it goes to tuition. Does all of it go to tuition? Has health?
Scholarships mostly.
Yeah, I mean scholarships, so students apply for scholarships through the foundation. And depending upon what the criteria is, I know that they have some very specific criteria for certain scholarships. They will fund students, in part or in full. So we do encourage them to apply for scholarships because a lot of them are not as fully aware of it as they could be. So I know that, people in our staff in the business office definitely push them towards the
Well, it
foundation.
sounds like there should be a team.
Right, yeah, they work pretty closely, yeah. We try to let students know, because any of those dollars that we can get from the foundation and cover tuition fees goes into the general fund.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, we definitely try and do that as much as possible.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a question about revenue streams or potential revenue streams. We do have the capability to host events of all types of sizes. I'm just curious, have we been approached by an event host or a brand or whatever to host an event that was maybe like in the 5+ figure range, and then we have to like turn it away, or like do we ever turn people away because of certain restrictions of what we can and can't do?
We haven't had, the 5-figure organization that we worked with was Wind Creek Casino when they wanted to host their career fair here. That was very powerful for us and for them. When we turn down organizations, it's only because the space is rented. And we haven't been approached by anyone else at that level. So typically, it's smaller community organizations that want to host their club meetings, their fraternity meetings, workshops, things like that. And we accommodate them when we can. We're really busy, which I'm happy to say. People do take advantage of our low rates. We are increasing rates for the conference center. Minimal. So for instance, where the auditorium was $600 for half a day, now it's $720. And we are still less expensive than our counterparts, South Suburban, Moraine Valley. So we are still in a great range, but we haven't had that yet.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. And just a quick follow-up, the dwellings that we have in other locations, are any of them inhabitable for, say, for instance, a small institute might want to relocate from the park district? They might have like a small nursing program, and they have accreditation, but they might need additional space. Like, how are they going to approach that inference? And, you know.
So if you're saying like the Mac Center, or you're saying our other dwellings, our other buildings?
I think it's the one that's, it's like further down towards the, I think.
Oh, right
But it
here.
hasn't signed it up.
On Halsted?
Yes.
That building is just a shell, actually. It was donated to us. There's no running water, electricity, there's nothing in there. So we have to figure out when times are better, what we can do with that space. But it's funny you just brought up, an organization just signed on today. Well, we need the final lease. It's called I Can Dream. It's the I Can Dream Center, and they're out of Tinley Park. And they've asked us for an office space and a classroom space from August 6th to May 6th. And they do mental health and all kinds of support for individuals, I believe, between the ages of 18 and 22. So we are renting our space to them, and of course it includes their electricity, all that they need. And so they're very excited, and we're very excited. And she mentioned, the CFO, that she'd like to host a ribbon cutting. So I'll let you know in September, because she'd like for Dr. Anthony and for us to be there. So maybe some of you board members want to come by. So that is happening. It's not a nursing program, but there are opportunities like that that are occurring.
Thanks so much.
My question, for the state and federal grants that we get, student aid, is that coming in at the pace that it's supposed to be coming in, or is it delayed as well?
I think it's delayed in some cases, or it's coming in as,
Funding?
yeah.
No, state
Oh,
funding
student
comes in.
Okay.
Yeah. The student aid it's a drawdown, so it comes like whenever we draw it down.
All right.
I had a question in regards to strengthening enrollment.
Just a moment.
Can't hear you.
Oh, yes.
So I had a question in regards to strengthening student enrollment, but specifically like for the Hispanic population, if we're taking, certain strategies to specifically target them, being that they may face unique challenges or have unique circumstances that may not be received in the general strategy.
Correct, yes. So you don't see here, but we had some data about our Hispanic and our adult population that we reviewed as a team. And so we've been talking about just different things that we can do to reach that population. So one of the things is like holding like an alternative application information or work session for those families who may not necessarily qualify for for federal aid. I know Jenica, who is our director of our Peace Center, has partnered with the church in Chicago Heights to do information sessions. They have also gone to the high schools to meet with students and their families. So yeah, we've been trying different things to try to reach that population of students, because we know that that's a great opportunity for us. I do think the current climate, though, I think can shy some of the students and their families away from considering, educational opportunities. So it's important for us to, help them know that we're still here, we're still available, we have the support and resources to be able to help them, get here and thrive in their education. So we've done some things, we're doing some things, and hopefully we can do some more things intentionally.
It's important to note too that we've hit our goal. When I became first started here in 2019, there was a goal we had to become a Hispanic Serving Institution, HSI designation by the federal government. It means less and less these days, but it's still a designation that we are proud to have recently hit. So we did have to, as it required a certain threshold of student percentage and student body. We did rise to that number, but we haven't done a big splashy announcement about it yet because it's so razor thin, right? We just kind of bumped over the line in one report, and I'm not satisfied until I get the next IPEDS report to come out where I can actually do a big splashy, like we hit the goal, we're HSI now. So we've been making great progress on the enrollment, recruitment of Latinx students here on campus. Now, there's also, I think, Prairie State has done really strong based on the campuses I've kind of visited here. Student support for our students who are Latino and Hispanic. We have one of the larger student clubs, ALA, the All Latin Alliance, is one of the largest clubs on campus since I've arrived. Between them and the BSU, we have this huge population of students, and a really strong advocate in Jenica Rodriguez, who is our director of our Peace Center, and she's also over student engagement now. So the student supports have been really, really helpful for our students, and it's shown in our graduates and the quality of student leaders we've had sit at this table over the last 3 years as well.
I like that you said that, because recently I had spoke with someone who was in a nursing program, and they didn't pass their admissions test. And I'm wondering, are you messaging this down to the staff? Because this staff person, instead of saying, well, take a particular class that they're going to end up taking as an elective anyway, and encouraging them, they were like, well, maybe you want to be a mechanic.
Right.
Yeah. And it just dropped his whole heart. So, but I did talk with one of the staff, and, they were ready and they called them, but it was a little late. They transferred, but we really, and this guy is Afro-Hispanic, so he's right there, and he was looking for someone to give him some guidance.
Yeah.
That was someone had that. Was that someone here?
I was going to say, that's unfortunate. I know none of us want to be sending that messaging. I would say that we're doing a new hire of someone who has extensive experience in HSI grants. And we have also people in my office and our office that have extensive experiences with HSI grants. It's unfortunate that they've cut HSI grant funding, but we know what has worked. And I was from Morton College, which is 95% Latino. So, and then the last school I was at CCSJ was an HSI with 3 to 4 of those grants. So unfortunately, the funding's not there, but it is true that we know the lessons of those HSI grants have taught a lot of folks. So I know that we'll continue to work on those issues.
I'm sure it's not the norm. I just wanted to share the experience.
I had one more question.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we have a translator on site to assist?
We do. So I was going to actually mention that so far that you asked that question. So when we receive phone calls, so we've been making decisions. You all know we've been making really tough personnel decisions over the last 6 months. One key factor in us determining what positions remained and which ones went were a lot of times also a discussion about the talent and the unique qualities of people who are in those positions. So we have a bilingual person both in our advising center. Again, I mentioned a number of times, bilingual staff member in the Peace Center, a bilingual person in financial aid. We hired back to bilingual person course at the Welcome Center, right? And also we have bilingual members of our police force. And so again, it's these kind of things that we're mindful of, which is what I think demonstrates campuses that have these commitments, is that you have to, it's a checkpoint in every part of the decision-making process. So we absolutely do, yeah. I think we do a little bit better on the translation of services online, especially with the capabilities of AI now. So yeah, we're looking at that as far as well. So families are usually the problem, right? They want to be able to look at the stuff too, and they can't do that if it's not in their language. And so that's a big piece.
Well, thank you so much for, providing that insight. And I would like to learn more in the future about some of the strategies you're doing and the effectiveness through them. And then, the organizations that you're working with, how we can further expand that. I know one of the organizations that I had mentioned to Dr. Anthony in the past that I would like to see us working with would be the Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. So, I would like to collaborate with you more in the future on that and just see some of the organizations you're working with and see if we can, bring some more to the table and see how we can be, and where they're at and, provide them some of the same opportunities and drive some of that enrollment in the area.
Oh, absolutely, I love that. Thank you.
All right, so do anybody have any more questions for the budget and enrollment presenters?
I don't think she's finished.
Oh,
It's like, all right, man.
I want to get into it.
No, that was a tremendous conversation. I'm really glad that you had it. Hopefully I'll be able to engage a little bit.
That's hilarious. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, finance person, I get used to this. All right, so unfortunately, one of my slides did not populate here, and I apologize for that. It was a big file, but I wanted to break down our funds. So we'll talk about the one that is populated, the net income. So overall, and this is our audited FY25 statements. Overall, last year, we had a $3.3 million loss. And looking at the funds, as we've been talking about, each one of these funds contributes to that. So when we look at, for example, Fund 1 and 2, Fund 1 and 2 lost negative $6 million. Now again, that is the fund that we have the most control over money, and we have, little revenue coming into those funds. So that, lost $5.9 million. Fund 3 lost, or I think that was positive, negative of $4.8 million. And then the biggest one is all the other funds, which was $7.6 million plus, and that makes up a lot of the Fund 06, fund for auxiliary, some other funds that we get for support. So that offsets our loss, which is a good thing. But the thing that we have to keep focusing in on is the 1 and 2, because that's the one that we are paying our staff,
Right.
we're paying our facilities, we're paying our faculty. That's the one where all the money kind of gets absorbed. So that's where we have to really focus in on. And then the operating income overall, operating income is a negative $46 million, but that is before all the other kinds of revenue comes in, and that's state and local grants, is federal grants, is property taxes. So that offsets us so that, we only come down to a $3.3 million loss, which is a good thing. But again, Fund 1 and 2 is experiencing the highest operating loss of a negative $25 million. So we can talk more about those numbers, but that's what we focus on.
I have a quick question, and please correct me on the terminology.
Sure.
I know there was some efforts to recover unpaid tuition. So what does that number look like in the year?
One of the things about accounting is the tuition, whether we collect it or not, is recognized as revenue.
Okay.
Okay, so if we have students register for a course, it's automatically recognized as a revenue, whether they pay that money or not.
Even if it's like severely outstanding from like years ago?
Yes, we have something called, in accounting, it's called bad debt expense. So what we do is when we decide to write off an account, or we allow for it, we put it as an expense line that offsets the tuition per se.
Got it.
But the tuition is always booked at whatever students register for.
Got
Okay, so
Thank
So it
you.
could be off, because we know.
cash-wise, it could be off.
So it's important.
Yes,
So
that
that's
is a very
And
important.
everybody make sure your mics are on so we can hear you for the record, but that's the
is
difference. So the board has seen, oh my gosh, so for years, the board has, approving the budgets and we're seeing the numbers online, but it's the money in the bank. We all know how this is, right, in our real lives, right? You can say, well, I'm making, this paycheck looks like this, but you don't see that I pay this much in child support for those who have that expense in their life, or this expense here or whatever. You don't notice that this is that's not a personal story. You don't have this amount here. Yeah, I digress. So you don't. It's the cash in hand. So we look at the numbers, the spreadsheets, and you're like, well, the college has this. Is what happened, I think, in 2018 when the mayors came for the college. They were saying, again, our district mayors were really upset about the college raising tuition and fees, which they actually should have been. We were the highest in the state. But that notwithstanding, they could see numbers here, but what we've actually collected to pay bills is not there. And that's what hit us in the face last year, right? And then it reveals itself in the property taxes that are significant for our college. $6, $7, $8 million in property taxes are delayed by 2 or 3 months. That kills the college our size.
And the challenge there is on paper, those things look okay. It looks like we are going to collect all our property taxes. It looks like we're going to collect all our tuition. But in reality, it's the cash that pays the bills. So you have cash in the bank and you have a number on a paper. They're very frequently different.
And so now when we get the money, we're gonna pay back what we borrow plus the interest. So that's another thing.
Yes, and because we're not getting our property taxes on time, we have bills to pay and we don't want to pay late fees. So there's that balance of how much do you borrow at what cost of borrowing versus,
Requiring late
Getting
So-
credit
Yeah.
downgrade, right?
or just, paying late fees. You want to pay thousands of dollars in late fees, we can't afford to pay thousands of dollars in late fees. So there's always that balance of the cash versus what it says on paper. So we're trying to make that more real. We're trying to, collect that cash from tuition and help students understand that responsibility of paying their bills and giving them options of how to do it. So that's one of the things that we look at. So the other thing that I want to talk to you about is discretionary versus non-discretionary costs. Because this also plays into how much flexibility we have with that Fund 1 and 2. So right now, that's where our flexible money is. But all that flexible money, a lot of it is not so flexible. So we're going to talk about the concept of discretionary versus non-discretionary. So discretionary cost is they're the costs that we have most control over. We can make a decision. For example, we could say, nobody's going to travel anymore. Is it a good decision? Maybe, maybe not. But it's a discretionary cost that we can absolutely control. We can do it. There aren't that many discretionary costs, fully discretionary costs, unfortunately. Most of them have more, caveats in them. But those are the easiest costs. Decisions can be made more quickly, and it really won't impact the mission of the school to a degree. Then we have non-discretionary costs. These costs are they are the biggest of our costs. They're difficult to unwind. They could be multi-year contracts. There's things like insurance, utilities, benefits. You approved the insurance today, almost $700,000. That's what we have to pay. We can't not pay that. We cannot pay other utilities. So there are a lot of costs that we absolutely have to pay, and we need cash to pay those bills. And then there's some mixed costs. And these costs sometimes are difficult costs to cut to. Some discretionary costs are kind of partial mixed costs. It could have more impact to the mission, it could have more impact to the college. Again, they're not easy to do. It's staff costs, faculty costs, things that require more depth of analysis to do than saying, you know, we're not going to travel for 6 months. That's a very different decision to say than we're going to cut our staff back. So those are the things that we have to look at when we look at these types of costs. So what I've given you is kind of a picture. So you see our discretionary costs. For our breakout of costs for Fund 1 and 2, going into what our budget requests are, 21% of our costs are discretionary. Small amount of money. It's travel, it's professional development, it's events, it's marketing, it's advertising, it's printing. Not things there that, you know, if we drop them, it's going to make a significant difference in our bottom line. It will make a difference, but not significant. Our mixed costs are, you know, staff, consultants, supplies, equipment, legal fees, publications, subscriptions. Can we cut back on some of those? Absolutely. We have to figure out what the impact is of cutting back on some of those. But that makes up 30% of our costs. And then the final mix, which is 49% of our costs, are non-discretionary costs. Contract commitments, employee benefits, utilities, facilities, maintenance and repairs, insurance, debt service, audit fees.
And I think it's safe to say the heftiest of those costs for us are those non-discretionary costs.
Absolutely.
So this is why I try to remind people, please do not, and to our board, and to others, and to the media, people want to have a mania about oversimplifying things. And we are educators here. We have to stop doing that. This notion that, well, just cut professional development. We can cut every professional development dollar and every bit of marketing and every bit of advertising. It won't be enough to close gaps, right? We have to look past that because there are heftier costs when you have 70% of your budget. And at the time this crisis started, some 75% of our budget, 77% of our budget was personnel. There was no getting out of this without looking at personnel. And I know that is a very hard reality for any of us to realize, but we had to do that. That's probably how we got here. So it hurt, but it was a necessary thing, and we're in a so much better place now. And we still have more work to do. So, yeah, but that was important.
I think this is a good distinction for us to think about. This is where we can do things and where we can't do things.
Okay, so I'm looking at your discretionary costs, and our goal, as we previously mentioned, was to increase enrollment and visibility. Marketing and advertising is
Critical.
It does that. So
See that? Yeah.
Yeah,
so why would it decrease?
this is the dilemma.
That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma.
That's the dilemma.
Is there a way for us to toggle that budget up a tad bit? Just because we know that there's been effective tactics such as the billboard, such as the streaming ad that I've seen, I think last year. So I think, is there a path to toggle?
But it's a trade-off. So
Yeah,
if
we
you
gotta
were-
make trade-offs.
You know, you want to keep that, which is completely understandable. I mean, that's a positive thing. But, you know, you gotta look at other things.
Yeah. We got to keep the lights on.
Right.
Yeah, we'd rather give back some of our advertising and marketing money versus losing valuable people here. The beauty is that our in-district area, we have partnerships with like the Homewood Flossmoor Chronicle and with E-News Park Forest. And we have really inexpensive rates with them. So we send them every press release, they get it out there. They do advertising, and it may only be $250, $500. And so we appreciate those types of relationships. When we had open house events, we would do some geofencing ads where, for those who don't know what that is, it's like you can determine your boundary. You could say from the McDonald's here to the Dixie Highway, and that would show up in ads on people's cell phones. That was economical, and we did that for events to get people here on campus. So we still will do targeted things that we can, but the billboard was $1,500 a month, which I think is cheap, but we had to sign, we had to do it for 12 months. to get that rate, and so we just couldn't justify that expense this time. Our radio ads, which we did around an event to get people here for open house, hugely successful. And then bringing on the local DJ to talk about it on her radio show, that was only $500. But that was extremely successful because we had hundreds of people here learning about our program. So if we're able, we will do those things, but we just had to cut back on some of those things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the consideration set of those who will qualify within district, that it can be exhausting, so it's like we're really advertising the same people unless we get a new graduating class. So it can only be seasonal advertisement in terms of it being, ramped up. So we take that into consideration too.
So trade-offs we all make them every day in our lives. We're no different here.
Yeah.
I have a question. Which advertising kind of generates the majority of students? Do we know which one that is?
Well, it varies since we cater to so many audiences. So for the traditional age students, say 18 and 22, social media is big. They are looking to see what we're talking about, what kinds of events, what we're having. And so social media is free. I mean, we can do social media ads, which we do sometimes, but typically we just make sure that we're consistently posting for social media. For ages 24 to say 32, also social media. Some of them are looking at newsletters and newspapers. For people that are older, like my age, we are looking at newspapers, digital newspapers. We're looking at the billboards when we're driving to work and driving back and forth. Even the grandmothers are listening to radio stations, and so we love to reach all of those audiences because grandma may hear something and say, grandson, you need to get to Prairie State College. So we try different things knowing what each demographic is most listening to. But social media has been very helpful in that way since it's not really costing us anything.
And I still do see the clothesline at Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
That's always nice to
And so
see.
now we're in Meyer. I don't know if you saw in your July board packet. So they're pajama bottoms. And Christina was just at the Meyer. She took pictures of the hoodies and the t-shirts. And so I put that, I think that's coming up in the next board packet. And so we get 10% of the sales. It's not much, but it's exciting for the brand.
Yeah.
Just that we have that exposure.
It motivates people to
Yes.
kind of inquire and kind of like, hey, I want to be part of this, this is a big deal.
Yeah, it's part of the sales.
Yeah, we're proud of that.
So I want to be cognizant of our time. So I've asked CFO, she's about 10 more minutes. We'll take a nice big break, okay? But this is so, y'all know it's important. This is what y'all really want to get into. So let's do that, and we can take a break for some.
All right, so we talked about, funds 1 and 2, what we do, where we get them, how we use them, so like that. So other funds, again, are restricted. Audit fund is funded by property tax, restricted to paying audit fees. We've talked a little bit about that. So where does that leave us? We really have to adopt, a college where it's sustainable. And that means that our operating revenues, if we get our property taxes, if we get our state funding, we're at about $27 or $28 million a year college.
I can't hear you.
Sorry.
No.
So we have to adopt a budget that is really built on a reliable ongoing revenue of about, $27 million. And that's not where we are today.
Let me just relax. Sorry, I'll give it to your time. But this is the crux of what Trustee McCoy-Carpenter asked about earlier. For many years, the college was acting like a $40 million college, but in reality, bringing in $28 million. That's why we're here. Let me say that again. We are a $28 million college based on just strictly on revenues. These are known quantities. We know how much revenue we can expect from tuition fees. We can predict that, right? We can map that out. We know property tax is fixed. We know state revenue is going down every year. But we continue to operate at $40 million. That's why we're here. And that's why the gap that we have to cut down on is so important. It doesn't mean we can do it all in 1 year, we know that. But we have to get to an organization that is matching our revenues. Every year, since I began at this college in 2019, we have passed a deficit budget to the board. So every year, we can go back and fact check me on this. Every budget that's passed in a year, we're required by the state to pass a balanced budget by board policy to do that. So we've done that. But how do we do that? And then it's about the accounting stuff I told you about earlier, about our own practices that hurt us. We've had a use of fund balance that will be counted towards the budget that will get us to a balanced budget. And the problem is that use of fund balance is not necessarily a guaranteed amount. And so you find yourself eating into your reserves every year to cover operating at $40 million and hoping you'll close the gap through extra revenue with no strategy to do it. That's why we're here. Right? And so we're going to be much more intentional about how we map out and forecast our budget and tie that directly to enrollment and not pretend that we're going to make up $4 million somehow in a semester or a year.
So thank you for that. And, currently our expense base is upwards of 12 million over already. So that brings us to 40 million. We can do math. The math doesn't work. Okay, so that math is not what is going to get us to where we need to go. So what are we doing and why? I mean, the federal and state grants are no longer predictable. It could get worse. Who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Property taxes don't increase at the same level as expenses across all other areas, as Dr. Anthony opened this conversation with. Everything's going up 3 to 5 to more percent. Employee benefits increase at a significant rate over inflation. And we know that, that's going to hit us in January of next year. Facilities tend to cost us more money as inflation and older equipment buildings. I mean, we have older buildings, things break.
So can I just add, the reason why you're hot today is because of a coil that needs to be replaced that's on the roof, that's on this section of the building. And it has to be built. It's costing us $25,000, you'll see it. And so when we get that, then we'll have air. So every week, every 2 weeks, something breaks in this building or one of these buildings because of the age of the property. And we obviously have to repair those costs.
Yes, we do. And, one of the things that not everybody does, but everybody should, and PSC is no different than any other college I've ever worked at. We don't invest depreciation. So every year you take a depreciation factor, which is in our case upwards of $2 million a year. We just say, we don't have to pay cash on that. Whew, good. We should be taking that money and investing it and using that money as these things come in need of repair, as we need to proactively fix something so it doesn't break. Again, you're not unique. It happens across the board, but that would be the fix if you could do it. So this is kind of becoming a $28 million operation. This is kind of the best case operating revenue scenario. It's based upon, property tax revenue is what we anticipate it will be, tuition and fees based upon a certain amount of collection of enrollments, ICCB funding, and other investments in income. So unfortunately, there's a block there that's blocking the square there. But, the best case scenario is that we might be able to get to $27 million in revenue. The worst case scenario is $22.8 million, which is the middle one. And the bottom one is, adopted budget, which will be about 29, which again is a stretch. Okay, so those are the three kind of scenarios. So I did a comparison across community colleges about, this is kind of your eye chart, where we fit with the community colleges that are in our area and in about our enrollment revenue side. So where we sit, the red ones are the highest of all those areas. The green ones are the lowest of all those areas. And, our salary benefit to total expenditures is one of the highest across all these particular
Can you,
schools.
can you rephrase that statement?
Sure.
What's that mean?
What does that mean? It means that if we were to look at ourselves compared to everybody else,
And for our salaries,
and for salaries, we have our salary and benefits as a percentage to our total expenses is the 76%. It's higher than everybody else.
so yeah, so we take care of our employees, I'll stop.
So that's where we are. So again, this is not like this current year data. Unfortunately, they don't post the data as readily as I would like it. So that's the kind of things that we do. We do have some really good things where, the bottom two are where, one of the better ones across the board.
What are the bottom two?
I gotta look at it. There's hands in the way.
It looks like employee benefit makes it.
Expense to total revenue.
You can scroll and it'll come up, won't it?
No, it's.
No, don't start touching the computer. It's gonna start freaking out. But we're gonna send this to you all, by the way. We'll share these data as well, because you want to spend some time with it. Look at your peers and your trusty peers. And it's good information. This kind of stuff you all want.
So this comparison data is always benchmark data. I mean, we're all different, but it is kind of nice to benchmark against your competitors.
Quick question,
Yeah.
Mary. So when you talk about the salary benefits and us being the highest, right? Where would we like to be? And how much higher are we than we would like to be?
That's on the slide. I think it's further along.
I think it is further along that we will get to that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So we're gonna let Christina answer that. She gets to leave at the end of the month, and then we can all decide how to deal with it.
And this is just expenditure by function, the same kind of things, the same school. We're kind of, right there in the middle, by expenditures by instruction, academic support, student services, auxiliary services. So some of them are really high and some of them are really low. So again, this is a benchmarking, where would we like to be in this? It's, not for me to say because that's not my area, but I think that, it is a good way to look at it and see if we should be in a different place on some of these areas. So here we get to the kind of the crunch. So for our submitted budgets, again, for Fund 1 and 2, that's really where we budget because that's what we have the control over. These are our anticipated costs or submissions that people did. They submitted $41 million worth of expenses. Now, you remember a couple of slides ago that we said that we were probably going to be at the $28 million worth of revenue. So the math doesn't work. If we were to do a $28 million operation, this is what the numbers would have to look like. Instead of benefits being 4.4, they'd have to be 3.8. Instead of, contractual services being 5.6, they'd have to be 2.1. That's what it would be at a $28 million budget. And you can see the differences down the side. So some of these are discretionary costs, some of them are absolutely non-discretionary.
And again, so this is the summary of the 27 budget submission. This is what folks are saying they need and why we go back. And this is the process we're undergoing with now. Very rigorous process of back and forth saying, do you need that? Do you need that more than you need a person? Right? So we are pushing and going back and forth to draw down to that 28 million number. That's the work we were committed to for the board, to get you a number that says this is a responsible use of funds, right?
So this is kind of where we are ending up. The next couple of slides, and I want to be, considerate of time. This is our operating budget salaries, what our estimated 26-year end would be, what we ideally would need to be if we were going to be a $28 million, it would be another $5 million reduction. What happens is the average union contracts, they're under negotiating now. insurance benefits, etc. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. Contractual services, if we did a 10% increase, right now contractual services is about $5.6 million requested. We really have to go through each one of those contracts and rigorously evaluate it. Conference and meeting expenses, we could close the gap and eliminate it. Is that what we want to do? So that's a small portion of the expense, but it's $329,000. Let's see. So this is what I did to align to budget. So what I did, and again, that box is kind of in our way there, but what I said is that we really weren't going to bring payroll down. You know, if we were to adjust it to a $28 million budget, we'd go down to 19.5, which is a really dramatic cut. If we kept it at 21.5 payroll, and if we did that, then what would the other categories have to bear? They would have to be cut substantially. I mean, we would be looking at significant cuts across the board. This is not doable in 1 year. We know that.
Correct.
And so we will look at it as we go and look at how the things that we're going to do. And these are some of the things that we're going to close the gaps with. We have to calibrate what is the desired approach for closing these gaps. You know, how long should it take us? Review budgeting submissions, talk about, you know, managing contracts and agreements. We categorize things so it makes it very difficult to do data analysis. We're trying to get rid of this miscellaneous category, which everything falls into. We should be preparing cost justifications and return on investments for every contract over $15,000. I mean, that's pretty basic, pretty fundamental. Identify overlaps related to contractual agreements. So we're using two different contractors for similar things. Do we have, you know, two similar out there? Should we try and pull back? Review athletics for potential hiatus. Minimize travel to anything related to accreditations. Is this all going to get us to $28 million expense today? No. It's going to be a journey. And I think that journey can be taken over a 3-year window of time. I really do. I think that the dedication and the will is there for this to happen. I think it's going to be painful. You're going to have to really justify, and that's not something that we're used to doing. You know, justify that contract. Show me what the return on
But that's the right
investment
way
is.
to do it. That's
That is the right way to do
basic
it.
way to do it. So let me ask you, so within the next 6 months, you don't see a issue with payroll or anything like that, right?
No, I don't see an issue with payroll. I see us being very tight, and I think the tax anticipation will help us from a cash flow standpoint.
Yes.
And I think that is critical. So we manage bills week to week, and we're tight on that. But we have to stop getting those bills.
Can we just throw them away?
I would like to do that. I just thought that was
Yeah.
No, but we can't get new ones. We have to deal with what we have. I want to eliminate any new things. And maybe that's one of the hiatuses that you say, we're not going to enter into any kind of agreement for the next 6 months.
Right.
Until we figure this out.
So thank you so much, Christina. I know I will give the board to a break because they've been safe for a while. Thank you
patience.
so much, Christina.
I know having a conversation like this is not always the most enjoyable conversation,
Yes.
but hopefully you walk away with a little bit more information on how we do things and what our challenges are.
Yes.
So-
And to the board, I want to say one thing before you go to a break, and the chair and I are going to look at the schedule, kind of recalibrate a little bit for the rest of the night. Let me say that I have made a commitment to the college. We've made a really valiant and strong personnel reduction effort. I am not interested in continuing to make these huge cuts to our employee groups. So know that when we're talking about this, that's why we're talking about the work we're doing day to day, week to week, is finding all the nooks and crannies to find cuts. So I'm not going back and doing these large scale, I have no interest in doing that. And I don't think that's going to be sustainable in the long run. So no, if I ever talk about a reduction somewhere, it's very targeted. There's no more of the kind of blocks of work we had to do before. So that I like to think the worst of that is over, but that doesn't mean the worst of our cuts in other ways. And decisions we have to make to save money, that's not over, right? We are thoughtful about every dime we spend. And you see now why the kind of work we go through. So, what do you think, Chair? Madam Chair, get like a 725?
Yes.
Okay, 725, we'll just take a quick recess.
No.
So, here's what I think.
Stop making me nervous. Next year, I'm watching.
Right, it's gonna be tumble. It's gonna be, I don't know, muffled, it's gonna be inaudible in the words. You ready? Oh, your son's walking in. It's just us. It's just us.
No, you just for your office for like $10 million.
Right. For the bond. Okay, ready? And I'll have some message.
All right, so
This is the, and I guess what. Thank you.
what I was trying. You were trying. So I could introduce all the I'm here now.
I'm scared of it.
Well, that's now played. So it's gonna be first for him.
That's fine.
But he's mindful, you know. They want him to fight. Don't get so when that's how we make it. Okay. Let him
Leave a lot.
Oh, really?
Like explain how the rest of it, how we'll wrap up my.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the chair and I have discussed the agenda for the rest of the night. Here's how we're going to proceed, so we can wrap our meeting up here shortly. So we're going to, for the board members, I'm going to send you some things via email, right? And I'll send you some policy information. These things you can spend some time taking a look at on your own time. Role and responsibilities in the parliamentary procedure, including a new agenda format. We are curious if the board would want to entertain a different way to do your agendas. So let me just tell you quickly the gist of it and let you chew on it, you know? So at Morton College and other colleges, they have a much larger, I know the vice chair don't like this, they have a much larger consent agenda, which means basically everything's on a consent agenda. And when you want to talk about something specific, you pull it, you okay? You can then ask for the chair to pull it off when you go to vote for the consent agenda. So let's use an example. If you, we have one of these items to to appoint a dean. That's normally a consent agenda item, right? You don't have any questions, you don't have any debate, there's no discussion, you just want to, yes, approved, right? Consent agenda. But if you want to talk about that dean, you want to ask some questions, all you have to do is say, Madam Chair, I'll have to take item 3.4 off the consent agenda. And then it just gets done like a regular agenda item. What that does is it allows you to take, to dispense with the non-controversial, non-debatable, non-discussing things much quicker, and then spend most of your time on things that you really want to talk about. There will be times that you don't really want to talk about nothing. So the meeting lasts all of 10 minutes. But that is, again, a format. So I'll send you an example agenda from Morton, but it'll be in our format, our actual agenda. There'll be a mock-up for our agenda. So you can take a look at it. It's a simple change, but it's one that the board can decide to do. The way you do your agenda is up to the board. Chair and leadership can decide how y'all want to do your meetings. But it's a recommendation. The attorney did talk to me about how they did it at Morton and some other schools. So it's an option for you. You can also say, nope, I want to keep doing just like I'm doing right now. And that is also fine. So I'll send that via email. The last thing I'll send via email is, not via email, but we'll be doing an ITR kind of presentation as a promising practice. So we'll do it at our August 25th meeting as a presentation. That way you don't have to do nothing tonight. It's really cool information I want to share about the summer as we go into the school year. It'd be a great time for you to do it at your meeting. So the only two things we'll do at this point, I'm gonna ask Christine Lazar to talk a little about board elections that are forthcoming. I'll talk briefly about some organizational changes, and then the board chair will talk about related board goals before we wrap up.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony. So as he mentioned, we do have the 2027 consolidated election coming up. The election will be held April 6, 2027. But of course, before we get to an election, we have to have candidates. So the first day for candidates to circulate petitions for the 2 seats that will be vacant on District 515 Board of Trustees is August 25th, 2026. We will be working with External Affairs and our website team to update the Board of Trustees webpage where this information will be posted, but much of the detail we will reroute to the State Board of Elections website. Trustee Malero, one piece for you will be January 28th, 2027. That is the ballot certification deadline. So the documents will be prepared by myself and Andy. We'll get it to you for review and signature, and it has to be sent to the clerks for Will County and Cook County. And then again, the election will be held on April 6th, 2027. And at your meeting that month is when we will confirm the election results. And then there will also be a new organizational meeting. So all of those details again will come at a later date. So the first thing to keep in mind, August 25th, 2026. So if you're going on who would like to seek a seat on the Board of Trustees, that is the first day that they can begin circulating petitions. And then in November is when we will begin to receive your nominating packets in the office of the president. Any questions?
Any questions about elections, upcoming elections?
I don't have any. Do you guys have any?
Yeah, so what are seats available?
Yeah.
So there will be 2 seats, and the seats are for 6-year terms. So Trustee Smith and Bishop White. Those will be the 2 seats up for election.
He's 2 years. He's 2 years.
These will be up for election. So he will serve through
Okay, yeah.
through the end of the term in April, and then when we seat the new trustees in the April meeting.
Okay.
So he has the option, of course, he can run for the full 6-year term.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
And we're gonna make sure we're really clear about so that there are roles in the state rules about secretary and board secretary. So we used to have a position here called the secretary of the board, which was at the time Secretary Aldana. But then I had also a position in my office called board secretary, which was Andy. So it's very confusing. We've eliminated that confusion from our end. So when it talks about the secretary, it is the secretary that is serving on the board that needs to be involved. Andy's title is not special assistant to the board of trustees. And Christina is our election official for the college and for the district. So, yes.
So if anybody have questions, they call
There you go.
Dr. Christine.
That's right. Okay, you got to promote. I love that. Explain that. Thank you so much, Christina. Okay, I'll be quick here. Y'all talk about what y'all want to spend time on board goals, and then we'll be wrapped up. So, organizational changes. So as you saw, we have made major changes to the college's infrastructure. I am proud of the fact that we have the smallest administration and management team that the college has had probably in decades. I'm proud of it because it means that people who remain are working very, very hard with fewer bodies to serve and with fewer people around to help them. But they still uphold this mission. They are taking in more. Again, enrollment continues to climb. Never forget, more students are coming to the college. We're restoring the numbers of students who serve at the institution, who come to the institution. But the college is smaller. So when that happens, I make sure that the organizational structure follows suit with who's doing what work. And as the president, my chief concern is the administration, the senior leadership of the college, of course, and then how that then builds down. So I want you to take a look at first thing I want you to look at is this blue org chart. This is I haven't kind of officialized this yet, but I want you to see some things here, for something to notice that you should know in your mind right now. You can already answer this question. Are these people getting more money? No. So there's more money flowing to these folks on this list. These are just positions and the kind of responsibilities that have shifted, actually because we've lost many of the administration and management that we had. We've done reductions. So I just want to give you a quick glance at the organizational structure so that you may be wondering, sometimes you all ask me, and I invite you anytime to ask me, who does communications? or who oversees facilities? It's the same person. That's Jerry. You may ask, well, who deals with the government? Oh, that's also Jerry. You may ask, who does legal stuff? Well, that's Deidre, right? So this will help you be a quick guide for that. So just take a quick look. You see at the top of the organization is my beautiful, wonderful board of trustees. They're the best board on the planet. I have the best board ever. Board of trustees at the top. Y'all, they're working. They're keeping okay. President after that. So there are a few people who report directly to me. There's our 4 vice presidents. We have 4 vice presidents and 2 chiefs, right? The chief information officer, the chief advancement officer. That is Deb Havercourt. Y'all know Deb well. Then we have 4 VP level positions. You're going to see a new title here that we're going to be floating at the campus. That's the title of provost. The provost is the second in command of the college, but also serves as the vice president for academic affairs. That is Dr. Shoba. That role is not only symbolic, but it has real academic meaning to the way the college is shaping and reshaping our mission to center on teaching and learning. And I'm really excited for this change. Again, it doesn't come with more money, sorry, Derek. But it does come with the faculty are very supportive, I think. We have a faculty member back, our faculty president, who I'm talking to them. This hasn't been official yet, but as I've been speaking with our faculty leaders and others, that we're trying to really recenter the academic teaching and learning mission. There's some other areas that have moved under the leadership of Dr. Shoba, including our institutional effectiveness and accreditation efforts. We already have the workforce development efforts. I moved those to academic affairs when I first became president. Those areas reporting up to a vice president of academics is a broader platform and portfolio, and the provost title does follow suit with that nomenclature. So again, I haven't signed the paperwork yet and made those changes, but that is the direction we're headed. You will see under the provost is the academic services, adult ed, career technical education, which is the career programs that the chair asked about earlier. And you got liberal arts and sciences. These divisions have been combined. There's liberal arts and sciences, which is all of our transfer programs essentially under one dean now. And our career technical education career programs are under one dean, right? So it's kind of how y'all are familiar with that setup in colleges, career and community colleges, career and transfer paths. Then you have a workforce development, community education, significant portion of our platform here, adult education, right? And then academic services. Under our VP of External Affairs and Director of Public Safety, that is Dr. Jerry Bingham. So the police functions, facilities and operations, government relations, marketing, communications, public relations, all fall under her portfolio. We have VP of Human Resources and Legal Affairs, that's Deidre Smith, who's over employee relations, insurance, legal compliance, and payroll. And of course, our VP of Student Affairs and Executive Lead for Finance. This is a very unique position that is created and designed partly from the amazing amount of interest, but also structure that Dr. Moore-Bohannon brought to our recovery efforts. She has a natural ability to create order where there may be some chaos with documentation and such. But she also has some natural interest in this because her background is not in finance, right? She's not a VP of finance person, she's not CFO, but she has her eyes on that area and has been a project lead for our recovery efforts. So in that space, in that vein, I've asked her to serve as an executive lead for finance in addition to her duties as vice president at student affairs. And what that means is her role with the cabinet as a cabinet officer, we're not adding another vice president, which is very costly to do. Instead, we have her liaisoning with our consultant, both at GWA Consulting, but also other consultants we work with, who will be providing those leadership services for our finance at the college. Very significant changes that are coming to the way we do our finances here that will, I think, will be central to the recovery efforts. And so, very, very excited. I've been as excited about this since the crisis began, but I'm thankful for Dr. Moore-Bohannon, who also oversees the very, very appropriate enrollment management aspects of the house, which is again, you see how much that ties into finance, and our student engagement, care, support, student discipline, mental health, student basic needs, diversity programming, all of those areas are still under student affairs, athletics. Those are under her portfolio there. So that's the basic for that. All these areas have areas under them, right? But this is a basic kind of outline for you as a governing board who may need to at any point interact with these people, right? So if you have questions, concerns, think about the target area, and I was going to get you in touch with the right vice president or right chief, and they can help get you what you need to know.
Dr. Anthony,
Yes.
can you recite the
I can.
executive lead for finance?
I can. That is the name, or that's Dr. Anita Moore Bohannon. That's her.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you were mentioning something.
And I'm gonna give you a closer look. So this document here, you see it says Finance Governance Model, fiscal year 27. This is what we have to do in periods of transition, right? This is gonna explain to you kind of the relationship of this very unique position that we've got going this year. So again, will it stay like this forever and always? No, but organizations can change and shift based on our needs. This is meant to show you the connections and the kind of duties and things that we have. So again, not to go through it right this minute, but you have this to show the relationships between the executive lead, being Dr. Mobile Hannon, of course, reporting to the president. And then think of the CFO duties, because we have an interim CFO right now that's about to leave at the end of the month. So don't think of it as a person. Think of it as a set of responsibilities and duties that need to be accomplished. That stuff, that work, we're partnering with our consultants to help create those opportunities, right? We will have a controller. Our position has been posted that leads the accounting office and is over the accounting spaces of the college. We still have a finance department staff. But this unique kind of, I'm fascinated by this stuff. You all know my interest in organizational development. There's a real opportunity here to guide us through this transition in a way that's unique, and I think uniquely fitted to our situation without creating administrative bloat, right? Another VP, 2 VPs, 3 VPs to try to fit all of the work. But it taxes these people, right? They are working very hard to keep things together. So these are for your review. This is the direction I'm headed. As some things, not everything will, of course, require board approval, but that's not what this is about. It's about the board feeling good about who's running their college. So as you look through this, you have questions, let me know.
Have you begun interviewing for the controller?
We have not. That position is now posted, and we would love for y'all to spread the word far and wide. We need top shelf talent to fill that role, right? And it's hard to do sometimes when you're recruiting, right, in a college in crisis, but that's when you need the best, right? You really need top-notch people. So, and I think I have them in our vice presidents, but we have to get that in every layer of our organization. So please spread the word, and we're working with our consultants on that as well, and our partners.
So right now,
Yes, ma'am.
our interim is doing all 3 of them.
So right now, our interim CFO is doing the CFO work, and the controller work is kind of like vacant. Yeah, it's just kind of open. We have our assistant controller, Denise, who y'all know well, Denise Edwards. She's been kind of filling in some roles. And there's also other people within the finance department that's been doing things, but it's not enough, right? So we're moving fast to fill these gaps so that we can execute the plan that we're laying out, and particularly as the CFO will be leaving soon. And we have some options. We have good options, and working with our consultants at GWA Consulting has been extraordinarily helpful. Extraordinarily
So
helpful.
you have someone in mind?
We don't, not for CFO role, only for the support roles. Do I see us working with our consultants continually? Absolutely. But for controller, no, we don't have anybody to plug and play in that role. And the interim CFO, honestly, I'm very reluctant to hire a one person to be interim CFO right now. What I want is a strong controller and to work with our consultants to fill in the strategic leadership spaces that the CFO usually brings. That's what I think we need to guide through this next year, because this is a $170,000, $180,000 position, and I don't see that happening. Nor do I see us being able to recruit. The last time, I'm just a little shy. The last time I recruited an interim CFO and a controller, I fired them both within the next 2 years. So I'm very, very particular about the hiring of these people. We're gonna get it right. Yeah, we're gonna get it right. This is important. You know that. Yeah, y'all know that. So, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna be quiet now, Madam Chair. It's back to you.
All right. So now we're going to just talk about our board goals. But first, I would just like to say it's been a pleasure to serve with you all. Just being one of the seasoned senior members on the board, I feel like we all have a great working relationship. I just ask that, let's continue this communication. Let's continue to be open. It's not my board. This is our board, right? We were all elected to serve our district, all 22 cities. So again, this is not Chair Williams' board. You don't always have to call me and say, hey, I need to talk to Dr. Anthony. No, because you were elected. You have to do a job. So there's some things that I may not know or may not see, but you do. And that's okay that you bring it to the president. Like, it don't always have to, come through me, but I just want to have a open communication. I also want you guys to be, speak up how you feel. Like, you guys don't always have to vote how I vote. And that's fine, but let's talk about it. Let's have a healthy conversation. Let's move the college forward. Like, we don't need to be bickering amongst each other, and we're not. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like we the dream team. And I'm gonna say it, like, everybody have their own expertise, and what they're trying to do, their vision, and I just want to see us grow. Anybody else can say what they want to say, or we can just start looking at the board policies that I would just hope that everybody put insight in, because this is something that we all have to work towards, the rest of our term. Dr. Teresa, would you like to go first, or you want to think of, or you want to read about it?
I'll read.
Huh?
I'll read it.
Oh, you reading it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you said you wanted to read it first for you? Oh, okay. All right.
For clarity, at this time, Madam Chair, we are giving our feedback on the previously determined goals of the board.
Yeah, or we can change it, because again, this was 2023. I've seen, again, to be fair, some of you guys are new, but I've seen since I've been on the board, because I've been on the board 2017. So I've seen just the board, yeah. He wasn't, Jalen wasn't even born then. You ain't gotta say it like that.
I'm sorry. I
just feel like with the Board of Trustees, right, I feel like when we want to go to professional development, you have that option to go. It's not that you have to have a specific role. So I think that we've did a lot with that, engaging with the college. I love the fact that when we talk about our budget, that is actually presented for us. It's in color. When we have questions, it's not rushed. Community, we can always have better community engagement, but it has gotten much better. So much better just being in the community. Rarely do I be in the community and I get negative comments. I'm always in the community. I'm an organizer at heart, but I've never got a real bad negative comment about the college. It's just minor stuff, but hey, financial aid, we all, but I think like being in the community, Dr. Bingham, you've done a phenomenal job. I keep calling her Dr. Christina Lazar. People still asking, like, when the next wear orange. So it's like we've been doing a lot of community engagement. Also, Dr. Anthony, I'm gonna tell you, has done a phenomenal job with getting the schools, the high schools in the district, to consider coming here. There's one specific school, we all know who that school is, that just thought that they was better, and they were not sending their kids here at all. But they got the most students that come here for dual programs. So for our surrounding schools to see Prairie State as an option, that's amazing. To see that we have students from Rich Township and graduating with an associate's degree, that speaks to the community engagement and talking to the schools and building a relationship. And then Dr. Anthony and I have been in some what we'll call them, college meetings.
College meetings.
College meetings, and they board was at odds.
Yeah.
You had the president talking about the trustees. We like, no, we not doing that. But I'm just saying, like, they didn't have a unity approach. And although if we do have our internal issues, we know how to talk about it. The college looks amazing. As a alumni, somebody who actually went here, sat in these classrooms, I see a tremendous makeover. It feels, I'm not gonna say Prairie State feel depressing, but it just feel like, oh, I wanna go here. I had a student, one of my mentees, did a documentary, and he came here, he didn't even get upstairs to see Dr. Anthony. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going here. He was on his phone like, yeah, I'm going here, y'all. He still texts me like, we're going to Prairie State to register. So the beautification of the school is welcoming. And then just walking through the hallways and staff that he didn't even know or see, hey, how you doing? You know, talking to him, asking him what he want to do. That did a lot for this one young man who's like, I want to go there. I don't care what classes I got to take, but I want to be in this environment. And he was encouraging people like, yeah, all I got to do is get online and apply. Because remember, he asked you, was he going to be accepted?
You're gonna be fine.
He was nervous about being accepted. But he's like, no, you know, just make sure you do what you have to do. And I think also, too, just having staff that's willing to take out time with individuals who will never get that FaceTime. That speaks value, where people be like, yeah, you know, professor, like the professor in Katrina made an impact on so many students. I know Dr. Shocks is, I can call him Dr. too, but you ain't gotta go back to school. But I was in his class. So to his credit, for me sitting here, just the type of professor that he was, and I was just thinking like, I need to come sit in his class just to get on his nerve. Just so we can go back and forth, because I know his students and staff. But just to have quality instructors that just do not teach you academically, but also prepare you for life. So Prairie State is the place to be. I feel like as a board, like we on a good track. I tell Dr. Anthony and tell you, I call him, I'm like, yeah, I talk to him, you talk to him, and I encourage the board know what I tell y'all. Call Dr. Anthony. I don't have all the answers. So that's my spiel on the board policies. I think that I'm good. You want to say something?
No, I was reading on it. I think they're in line with our views and how we.
Can you put your mic on?
Yeah, and I think the goals are in view. I think with all of us, with the board as we are, and I think that as long as we communicate and as we go through each meeting and discuss what we have done, I think we're on target to get the college to where it needs to be.
And thank you, Andy, for getting the board packages out.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because that also gives time to, you know, kind of let it resonate and also ask questions. So I appreciate you for all your hard work.
You're welcome.
Maria? Yeah. The board policy.
I mean, I totally agree with everything that, you and the vice chair is saying. I think that we have a great level of cohesion here. We're all on the same page, and I think the trajectory of things are good. I think that as long as we, keep showing up and doing what we're doing, I think that we'll be on the right path to get to where we need to be. I don't think immediately I have anything to add to the policy. But I'm in agreement with everything, that was said. So I would like to thank Dr. Anthony and, all his cabinet for all their work that they put into explaining things to us, to giving us the information that we need to make good decisions for the students. And for getting us these packets early. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, especially when you're cutting things. I know that a lot of the sacrifices that are made here, we don't see them. And sometimes, you guys, I'm sure, are working more than what you're getting paid for. And so, even though it may go unseen, it's not going unnoticed. I do feel very confident with the cabinet that we have and with the leadership of Dr. Anthony to take us to where we need to go.
And I would just like to say, this is just my personal take. Like, I don't want any faculty and staff to feel like they fear me. or as the chair, because at the end of the day, we're all human. There's room for mistakes. All I just asked was just put your best foot forth, honesty and communication. Because we're in this together. We all see what's happening in the world today. So our students, they need us, right? So yeah, when Dr. Anthony, I was like, the academy can come talk to the board. If they don't want to talk to the board, they can most definitely come talk to me. But do it the right way. Not text me. Yeah, do it the right way. Trustee Smith?
Definitely, I agree with all the board goals, and one that really stood out and we did change it in the policy was like providing orientation and mentorship for new trustees. And being a new trustee, I felt when I came in, I was put right into the voting process. I do this on different levels too, and I just thought that was so unfair to, you don't want to go abstain either, because if you got 40 people come here, that really could just mess up your vote. So I know we did get that change in the policy. I like that everybody listen to one another. It's been great people to be on the board with, being great in art, backstabbing. The staff is definitely wonderful. And again, I think we also did Dr. Moore a hand. She came in. I remember when you first came in. Like with your shoes off running, right? Shoes off. And just seeing where you have moved things from now to then. And nothing from everybody that's here that's sitting here. I see the efforts, I see the work, the phone calls, whether it's here or I wasn't here, talking about the sign. I see the effort that people put in to get things done, and I'm proud to be a part of this board. So vote Smith.
So do you think, because I do know first year and third year trustees, we do have to do our mandatory training. So do you think that for upcoming trustees, we implement a policy of just like a small boot camp? Now, I ain't talking about no week and no full, but just like to get acclimated with, the voting.
And even if it's like something similar to a flower like this retreat, just pick a day outside and set a day.
Yeah, just so you can see.
To feel comfortable.
I think
if you have never been anything in government or worked in an institution where you're making life-changing decisions, you want to do the right thing. And I often tell people, you can't do things off emotions, because emotions will make a mistake. And we don't want to let nobody go. We don't want to keep things either that shouldn't be so. You want to know how to make a sound decision and understand the policy. Everybody don't understand those financial numbers when she's talking about fund people, and that's why I like this board. It's a collective group from a different thing that we all could talk and feed off one another.
So do y'all think like we should do like maybe a boot camp and then add like a book sorta that have like the different codes, like Fund 140, like the definitions that's used? It ain't got to be no dictionary, but I'm just saying like just to let them know like board meetings is at this time. I think I got an idea.
Like a Bible?
Yeah. Like a welcome tool.
Introduction.
Introduction, welcome to the board. Yeah. And I think that'll be fair, because too, like to your point, in 2017, when I first got elected, I did have to abstain my first, because it was like they was just.
Well, that was smart, because I didn't. I got beat up. Some of y'all know, yes, I did.
And it's like, it was illegal to give us the documents before we got sworn in. So why do we sit here? And so so I think that's probably a legal question to ask. Like with that question. Because you do want people to be comfortable when they vote, and then
I know
we did
the policies. It was changed. We voted on it. We changed it. In the policy already. So it definitely.
We've had good compliance of that. the training stuff too. And Andy tracks that and Christina. So yeah, y'all been.
Better
So we're
complain.
due,
Your line.
so we're due to go to training, you'll let us know.
I believe everybody on the board right now with where you're at has to go through training before April.
Yeah.
You have mandatory training that you need to have.
So we gotta
For the
go to the
third
one.
year?
So we gotta go to the one in
First
November.
and third year.
I thought I did
What do you mean
it
go
last year.
The
So like usually, well, I think they're having one, aren't they?
this one in November.
Yeah, I believe so. So if
No,
you
no,
don't,
no. I'm sorry. When
For
the
AC
conference?
October.
October.
right. So if you can't attend that, sometimes, right, like last year or the year before, like we did the DVD that was passed around. So if you can't,
Yeah.
you have to have the 4 hours of training,
Yeah.
whether you go. I think you guys are ready.
I think I did
You
mine
guys,
beginning
me
next
and
year.
Trust, yeah, you were here.
Yeah, we
Hello.
the DVD.
Is the DVD still the same?
So they'll give you
You take the
DVD
class
after they have their meeting. So after they have
They
it,
have it
they'll let me know when they have it
That's what I'm
ready, and then it could be passed around if somebody didn't make it to
That's what I'm
that
saying.
October meeting.
Is the DVD still the same?
No, well, they're gonna have the new meeting, so they'll record it, and then you have the one.
I mean, I ain't saying I do, but I'm saying I still
Okay.
got the one.
And Madam Chair, so I echo you all's sentiments in terms of the cohesiveness with our board, how the free flow of communication has been sufficient beyond between the cabinet and just wanting to ensure that I think to identify to quantify a goal for board governance development. You guys know that I am a champion of what ICCTA has to offer. I have.
I'm sorry, you want to put it in here? Was it in here?
Yeah, for discussion, for us to add it in here.
Yeah, add it. Write it in.
Yeah, so I'm thinking at least 2 required attendances, and only I say required because I mean, obviously we all have life circumstances that might not allow us to do so, but one person going, my brain operates on a whole different lane as opposed to someone else. You will go and you might think of or bring back some information that might go over my head. So it's a wealth of knowledge and intellect that it's available for us monthly, quarterly, yearly.
Yeah, I thought we did have a policy when you became the representative for ICCTA or ACCT. That one, I thought it was a requirement that you had to attend at least probably 1 or 2. That could have changed, but I do like that, especially now that we're getting ready to have the biggest one in October. And I know people's work schedules is different. I know mine was kind of hectic, but I'm planning on going, of course, to support our team.
Yeah. And to bring back the insight too.
Yes.
That because I've sent so much. I'm like, okay, this grant opportunity and different things that we can just remain abreast on that benefit the college.
And then 2, it's like you learn just going. You actually first networking, but you also learn what other colleges is doing.
Yes.
And then you also appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
You also appreciate what you have. And then it's all, so we had a great
So
time.
what is it that, I mean, I'm so used to getting Zoom report that, I'm dressed up here. That's it.
That's it. You don't put nothing.
I don't need to do that. So now it's a struggle. I gotta find my outfits. But why hasn't those meetings gone? And is it bad for them to go into Zoom and do it?
Well, I think you can. No, some of them you can view. But
afterward.
Well, ACCT offers more Zoom meetings, but ICCT they really value the in-person connection, and they travel to different colleges.
I know. Because when I read everything, but sometimes I want to know, but I can't go.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put you on FaceTime.
Right. You just sit up beside you.
Also, count her in.
When I went to, but then it's like it's also interactive. So like when I went to the Chairs Institute,
if they offer,
yeah, they went in there with me. I snuck out.
Yeah, it's important information. You don't limit it just because it's not, you're not, everybody has expanded to Zoom. What happened with this group?
Well, I'm headed
Maybe
down
that's the
there.
ICCTA.
Yeah, I'm headed down there. We have an executive committee
should talk
retreat
about
this Thursday through Saturday, so I'll bring that up because actually it hasn't come up in
We
conversation.
don't do nothing on ICCTA.
I don't
To bridge the
I'm gonna
gap,
tell
we
you.
have low engagement from other colleges.
I can tell, well, not the budget tight, but
It's easy.
have a conversation because I remember last time when I went down there, a lot of people wasn't technology savvy.
They really was.
So a lot of them
That's a good point.
they was, because when I was talking about technology and I was like one of the younger voices, they was looking at me like, no, because,
Yeah,
and even here, like our system crashed because we didn't have
yeah.
the thing that we needed around COVID. So a lot of times they like, they ain't got time for people face to be all in the screen like this. And
That's a good point, but it's worth bringing up.
Get involved.
I'm gonna bring my stuff. I'm assuming we're still discussing that, but I think you want to.
I know. We like this.
but yeah, I do. You don't have millennials.
You are. I'm next.
All right, you were so you gonna write it down and send it to?
Yeah, if you want to send over to Andy, and well, actually, how about Christina? Send over any goal, any goal. I guess she is. Any goals? Yes, any goal revisions. Send it over to her. She'll compile it and then send it back to you all. Then y'all can actually vote on that at y'all's next meeting.
Okay,
To approve
so
it.
I'll hold until, cause I have
Yeah.
one more in mind to mention.
You can send it over to her. She can send it over to y'all.
Yeah, you can mention it and send it
Okay,
over.
just because I want to see the discussion amongst the board. We've been talking about the AI literacy hub, and I think that's would be great to get the board support in terms of like just being additional forces to move it forward and to, request how's it going and just so we can have accountability around that.
So I'm sorry, I was gonna say at the next board meeting, can she do a presentation
Oh, yeah, I can do it.
on the AI hub?
This is your.
So we can kind of know
Absolutely what you want.
what it will look like? Cause are you guys familiar with it?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you that, Justin.
Yeah, so we're working with,
Kansas, Highland College in Kansas.
yeah, so I think it's a two-part, discussion going on right now. So we have the presentation that we're supposed to get approved. We didn't hear back yet. Well, we got preliminary approval and they said, hey, collaborate with this other college that's doing a similar presentation. We're waiting her back if they can approve.
We're still
Okay.
waiting.
So
I
that's-
haven't heard back yet.
Okay, so that's that. Then separate, we have the other AI initiative, with our in-house team.
Correct. There's a team of faculty, staff, faculty administration, trustee, president that have kind of sat down and talked about what does AI literacy look like at Prairie State College. Now, we could do that as a pioneering practice presentation, one of our meetings.
I think that was.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
Actually, that was recently proposed as we ramp up into
Yeah.
the conference.
How about we plan to do that in September?
Yeah.
And then we'll do a September board meeting, pioneering practice, we'll do AI literacy.
Cause I ain't gonna
AI
forget, I know
literacy.
what
AI
that
literacy. And then we can do a little, so that would be actually really nice to do. And we could bring in our deans and faculty members, that'd be kind of
Yeah,
cool.
because I know that she had some like 2 months before. Like
We already got stuff, stuff is already happening.
Yeah, of course, but it was.
That's the
something
thing.
that she
You're right.
wanted
Yeah.
Specifically,
Yep.
okay,
That'd be cool. And then, because then it leads into the October
exactly.
presentation.
Yeah,
That's the perfect time.
Yeah.
September, that'll be our pioneering practice.
love it.
I'm sorry, Maria had a question.
For me.
Oh, yeah, so it's unrelated though, so I don't want to interrupt with
Good.
trustee
Oh, we're done.
Harris.
I'm done, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so I was just curious as to if there was a reason why there was being a suggestion to change the format of the agenda.
Oh, no, not really.
No?
No, that's a little background there. No, no reason. Ed and I were talking one day and they were like, oh, they do it out. They do mostly it's consent agenda. And I was like, oh, really? Yeah, tell me more about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is, the only way, you know what else triggered it? Is that because you all get the board packet at your request, and by the way, I'm shooting for like 95% of the time you're gonna get it over weekend events. That's what y'all want. Sometimes there'll be an error, But 95% of the time, 9 out of 11 times, you're gonna get that thing and do the next thing. That's a lot of time to do the package for you all. And so I think sometimes we go through meetings, and sometimes meetings, y'all don't really have anything that you want to talk about, but you gotta go through their motion, setting, any discussion. And there's no discussion you were talking about it by now. That's what the consent agenda is built for,
Okay.
right? So most of your business is, and really even for you all's purposes, look back through your agendas, most of the stuff y'all have questions about. I may talk about it, but it's because, Sheriff, you want to talk about it? So I'll say something about it. We don't have to do that, right? And the former president used to talk about every item, right? And so we don't have to do that. It's just another option. So you could make most things consent, and the things you want to talk about, or the things that we want to, you're going to talk about. Tuition and fee increase, that's not going to be on the consent agenda, right? Discussion about a $600,000 purchase, it's not going to be on the consent agenda. That's going to automatically go to the action agenda. But you can always pull from the consent agenda. So it can speed y'all's meetings if y'all want to. You can also leave everything just the same. So there was no motivation, just
an efficiency thing.
Yep, just another way. And me and Ed talking about it. He asked about, because Ed's not here. It's on the record. Ed's a lazy bum. You don't have to be here.
And so there is constraints on what can be put on the consent agenda.
Correct.
Like things can't just be slipped in.
No.
Never.
No.
So never. And also, even if it was slipped on there, you pull it. You always pull it off. No, the agenda, what goes on the agenda will be just like it is now. It's just instead of it being under the action items where you have to go through the first, second, she reads out the title of everyone. That's all because it's on the action item. But you don't have to do any of that. It's on consent. Y'all see how fast consent agenda goes. But if there was any concern, even if you thought there was going to be a concern, you take it off the consent agenda and say, I want to talk about this. Just like that. Yeah.
And is there like a protocol or procedure as how we have to do it? Do we have to do that in a meeting, or can it be done when we're reviewing our board packet prior to a meeting? We request that it's off the consent agenda.
So once it's kind of both. So once the agenda goes out to you all, the packet will end up being published. Once the packet is published to the media, it's locked. You can't just change it. So how that's done for board meetings is at the meeting, when you get to the consent agenda, you do like you normally do. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? If there's a motion, there's a second. That's the time when you say any discussion. And then you'll say, yes, I need to take 4.2, 3, and 5 off the consent agenda. And it's done. There's no debate. It's done. The chair will note, take that one and that one off, and then any other changes, and then you approve the rest of the items on the consent agenda, and then you go into item 4, 5, and 6, and 1, pull it off, just like normal. So yeah, you can't do it in real time just because it's all printed out already, but that's the effect of what you're doing. You're taking it off of the top. And every item's been taken in turn. It's just like a regular old meeting. So 90% of the time, consent agenda will probably work. What you're worried about, with my good colleague and former chair, Trustee White, he would object to this. I think Trustee White would not want to do this because he wants to talk about things.
But he's not here.
Yeah, I know, but he's not here, so he could just do it. So he's not here, but he's gonna be somebody who's dubious about it. He wants to be able to talk about stuff if he's concerned. This does not take that away from you. And again, you can also try it. The boards have a remarkable amount of power to control their agenda. You can try it once. You hate it, go back to the regular way. Y'all dictate that. The board chair kind of governs it, guides it, but y'all dictate it. So if y'all want to give it a shot one meeting, pick a meeting. We'll give it a shot. If you don't want to do it,
our meetings don't even really last.
They don't last
more
long.
than an hour, 30 minutes.
It's a really good tactic for meetings that last hours and hours and hours. Y'all don't really have long meetings, but if you want to make it even more streamlined, that's your option. So that's your option.
Because if it's that short, we can do it on Zoom.
Don't.
I'm playing, y'all. I'm playing.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me with a good time.
One more thing to say.
No, it's on you now.
Okay, about the agenda, I think it's great. I would like to see something a little more specific, even though I'm sure all of us are doing it on the community part, because now we know that marketing is going to adjust that we are the marketers ourselves. And that's one of the duties, is that we communicate and promote the school, the college, with to the community. So, you know, everybody that you interact with at your churches, at the places that you go, I like to bring friends. And I talk to kids about it because that's our job. And we believe in knowledge, so we have to do a little more. And we know we're not able to do the advertising of that we're doing. And so and one more thing. So I promote like the communication with Enrollment Academy because
I was gonna ask you, like, do you think, 'cause we do have Prairie State business cards? You gotta put it up, you know, put on the back, you gotta, the enrollment process.
when I have somebody at the hospital,
Put on the back
on the tray.
tray. If you
And
would like
it's, cause
to
our
enroll.
cards brilliantly, I think this might have been my idea, was it my idea? Oh, maybe not, okay. Yeah, I got it. Oh, was it? Okay.
No.
So there are QR codes on all the cards now. So there are QR codes on all of our cards now, which is so brilliantly simple. You might have an old
I
card.
have an old.
You talking about our, Prairie State
Takes
College?
right to the website. You might have an old card.
I'm gonna just start passing them.
That was your idea, QR code.
Was it my idea, Greg? I was being coy. I'm so smart.
And the
So-
young people, they do, they be like, you got a QR code.
They don't have to take. I just gave, by the way,
Don't be like Wi-Fi.
by the way, I want to share this with the rest of the board. That gentleman over there from the Harvey World is an alumni of this college. So, by the way,
Yeah.
I gave him a card with my QR code and an alumni pin. It's called Pins and Benefits. We give people pins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I give him a pin, so he has a lapel pin now, but also has a card. So he swipes it when he takes a picture of that, it's going to load to our alumni list. So now we can help keep him connected to us, which is good. So, yeah. But he's an alum, so say hello to him away.
I feel the thing, I don't have
Some big books. So,
Deep appreciation.
Both of
for
us.
staff students here.
I need a
I'll
pin.
get y'all pins.
Look, I just gotta say, this meeting is definitely long. Thank you, staff.
Yeah.
I know y'all were like, all right now.
Okay, we'll get your pins. Here we go.
We appreciate you guys.
So, last request about your goals. Would you, if y'all would like, here I go offering stuff. Christine's like, please stop. If y'all would like, we can reframe. We'll type up whatever you send to us.
Okay.
If y'all want some other kind of format, or you mentioned SMART goals, or to build in some language around specifics, we can do that. And then again, y'all can take it and say, yes, we like this, and vote on it with y'all's next meeting. So tell us what you want. Just think about it, send us what you need.
So can we get a deadline
Yes, that's how.
that works for the people that gotta type it up and put it together? So what's your deadline?
So,
Who gotta do who type it up?
what you think? Y'all board material, they need their board materials by,
For this meeting?
the 18th, am I right, Andy?
No, for the, I believe it's the 11th.
That's when this stuff is due
For
to
the
your
25th?
office. Yeah, but
So I don't know if it'll make, unless they,
that will be helpful. Actually, by the 11th, yeah, by
By the 11th.
next Monday, if y'all can send your goals in, we can turn that around pretty fast and get ready for the package, the board package.
Christina? You
That'll
turn
work.
it around really quick? Give it to me? Okay.
We can work it out. We can work it out.
And then also,
Yes.
if we don't have anything to change, so they won't be waiting on us, just say,
Just say that.
just say I don't have anything, so they won't be waiting.
So,
So we have to tell the deal.
The board vote, it was said 11th or the 10th.
the 11th, let's do the 11th.
Tuesday.
That's next Tuesday. That's all. See, I got a week to turn it.
Okay.
No, it'd be Monday, either the 10th, because I gotta, get it together by the 11th.
You want to have it done? Okay, so
If I
about
can
that,
have it by Monday the
that would
10th,
be great. Okay, thank y'all. So I'm sorry, Monday the
so I can
10th.
include it in the packet
So
when
we
I send
get
it to you
y'all's
guys the
packet,
week
yeah,
before.
that's good. 'Cause whatever y'all come up with,
Second.
y'all gonna need to vote on to adopt this. So we'll do
Got
that
it.
next week.
All right, do anybody have anything else that they would like to get off their mind? Speak now and do not hold back. You can always talk about it another time.
We're never gonna talk about it again.
All right. All right, well, again, like I said, it's been a pleasure. I'm saying it like I'm departing, so.
Right.
It's always a joy to be, no, I'm here.
Right.
My tax dollars go here, so I'm here. It's always been a pleasure, to serve with you guys. We have fun. You know, I told you guys we have healthy conversations. So let's just keep doing what we set out to do. Please read Dr. Anthony and I letter feedback. If you guys want to write one as a board, I feel like you guys should write one as well. The more pressure, the better.
Individuals or as a group.
Yeah.
Have that authority.
Yeah,
Y'all are
please.
elected members of this community. Y'all can do that.
We have to show that we're fighting.
We'll mail it for you.
I'm just mad off.
Or just throw it on the chair, drop it off. Did you send it to them already? Yeah, so you all should have it in your email box by now.
Okay, yeah.
All right. May I get a motion to close, adjourn?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Trustee Smith, call the roll.
Trustee McCoy-Carpenter,
Aye.
Trustee Harris,
Aye.
Trustee Smith, aye. Trustee Aldana,
Aye.
Trustee Valero,
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye. All right, board retreat adjourned at 8:26. Good night.
Thank you all.
Yeah.